Hello, hello, hello. Today, we are going to interview Danielle out of Florida. This is going to be, I would say, lack of better terms, probably entertaining, at most.
Interesting.
This is interesting. We've known each other now for how long?
Going on
Seven,
7 years.
7 years. And
Yep.
it has been, to say the least, a journey,
A
a
journey.
long journey. Transition,
Yeah.
yes. As a lot of people don't realize, we work very well together. There has been a couple of good fighting moments throughout our career, but we're still here. The good thing is I'm in Oldmar, Florida, and she's over in the Riverview area, so there's at least 45 minutes to an hour difference. So when we get mad at each other, we're definitely apart from each other. So
Yeah.
so that
Not like
works.
in the beginning. In the beginning, we were like 15 minutes apart. So
Yeah.
now there's
Yeah.
some separation.
Now there's some separation. So we uh we wanted to kind of I'm doing this with each of the reps. I did it with Keith about a month ago. It was great to get to know Keith. This is very casual, as you can see. Yeah, we've got the Trident signs behind us and green screen and in the living room
I don't
and
have a
things
green
like
screen.
that.
So,
But we want to just be kind of casual with this and get to know Danielle and what she's doing, and we're going to find out about where she's from, her family. We're going to move through to this transition into when she took a job with us and joined into the team before it was Trident. Then we're going to get into, going from an office manager to a warehouse manager and that transition of what that took. And then the most important one was the transition from a warehouse manager to a sales manager. And that's a big jump. It's not an easy jump. It's a difficult jump.
yeah.
You're talking about two different mind frames and where she could have where a little bit of self-reflection back on if I would have done things differently, this is how I would have done it. But then we're going to really get into it of where do we see ourselves going forward, right? How do we address where does Danielle see herself next year? What's her focus, where it's going into. So we're excited. I've been wanting to do this since Christmas, but just didn't have the time. And so last week I said, "What are you doing on Wednesday?
We're doing
Let's
it.
knock it out."
Yep. Here we
So
are.
here we are. Well, thank you for hanging out with us. Not like you had much of a choice.
Me? Yeah. I
Yeah.
usually don't.
No, no. So tell us,
Um,
Danielle, where are you from? I mean, everybody knows that we got this fiery Danielle, but where are you from? How did you
yeah.
get down here? Tell us about a little bit of your family and just tell us about you for a minute.
All right. So everyone knows I'm from New York. Obviously, they say it's the attitude or that I talk with my hands or I'm loud. But I am from New York. I'm from Long Island, born and raised. I moved down here with my husband and my kids in 2015. Long Island's expensive. No offense, anyone watching from Long Island, but we didn't see ourselves there long term. And I have a stepdaughter down here that lives in Orlando. And at the time, I had my grandparents here as well. In Clearwater, they've passed, but it was nice to come down. Family was down here. We moved down, and I went right into construction. Construction's what I've always kind of been
Where
in.
we're
It's
at in
always
Long Island.
been
We're at Long Island. Where are you?
Suffolk County.
Suffolk
So for
County.
anyone
Okay.
that knows Long Island, it's the area that you've been to. The place that
Right.
you love to eat is in Suffolk County, Chubb's
Yeah, Chubb's, those
Deli,
big
with
that
like
big old
the
sandwich shop.
sandwiches that are like this big, and you have to take like the
Mm.
biggest bite and break your
Olive
jaw.
vodka
Yeah,
sauce
we
over the top of it.
the best,
Mm.
the best food, the best people come out of Long Island, and the best food.
I'll agree with
So,
half of that.
okay, that's fine. um, but yeah, so we came down here and my husband transferred with his job. He delivers water for a company called Ready Refresh to homes and businesses. I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but I've always been in construction since I was probably 20 years old, office manager, project management, all different type phases of construction. So I've always kind of been in that world, in that realm, loved it, found a passion for it. So I knew I wanted to go back into that. I got a job with a general contractor in Tarpon Springs, which is kind of by you. It's like the Greek
Hmm.
capital of Pinellas County, and worked for him for 4 years until he kind of scaled back and wanted to retire. He was an older gentleman. And I knew I wanted to stay in that. So I shifted. I went to a roofing company for about a year. And then COVID happened. So COVID came in, said no more school, kids are out. So we had to all of a sudden become teachers. So there was a couple of months there where I wasn't working because I had to be home with my second grader at the time. And then I started looking again. Options were open, and I found a job listing, which led me to Mike Kilgore. I
But
didn't even know what the job was for,
I think I put
honestly.
it up
I was
on
like, I don't know what
Indeed.
this is.
I think I put
No,
it up on
Facebook,
Indeed on Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah.
And I'm
Well,
like, what is this?
I think it was on Facebook and it went to one of your friends and your friends forwarded it over to you.
I'm not really sure how I found it, but yeah, I was just like, hey, I have experience, sent you my resume. We set up an interview, and I still, not to throw you under the bus, because I don't think you really knew what the role was, but I kind of came
I
in,
never do.
interviewed. Yeah, it was in a super small warehouse, your warehouse at the time.
Hmm.
And I will never forget the compliment you gave me about Mother
That's what
Teresa.
I
You
did.
told me, you said if Mother Teresa herself would have came in here and poured paver sealer all over her, I still would have given you the job. So that was fun. Again,
She knew,
still didn't know what the
she knew
job was.
she knew at that point this is going to be a
Yeah, I was like,
crazy ass
I guess
ride.
he likes me.
And it's going to be a
And
crazy
then I
ass
know
ride.
there
If
were
this guy
some,
can bring in Mother Teresa into an interviewing
yeah.
process, there's got to be something here.
And I know there were some sketchy, questionable candidates before me. So when I came in with my resume and we kind of vibed well from the interview, you were like, oh, thank God. Because I don't know who you were dealing with before. Um, but yeah, so I came in. We were only there for what, a couple months?
Yeah,
I
I
think,
think
right? Four
that
or 5 months.
maybe 4 or 5 months, because right after you came in is when we started looking for our warehouse, and then I was going and looking
Yeah.
at different warehouses, and then eventually we settled into the Tampa warehouse over in
Yep.
Ybor, and
And
so it
our
was.
boss, the owner of
Mhm.
SEK Trident, kind of handed us the keys to the kingdom. And we were getting ready to launch Trident and said, here you
Good
go.
luck.
Good
Yeah,
luck,
here
guys.
you go. I
So,
know you have a bunch of stuff
yeah,
there, but we need it over there. So if you could take
yeah.
it and figure out how to make it go from here to there, we'd really
And we
appreciate that.
did. We
Good
literally
luck.
moved it ourselves.
We
We moved
did.
a
We
whole
went and rented
warehouse. It was
trucks
fun. I
and
mean,
it was.
yeah, we were messing with lift gates and doing all sorts of stuff that we weren't qualified to do. Then we took a forklift certification training
Oh
together. That was
yeah, it
fun.
was awesome.
Um, but when Mike says that him and I have been here since the literal inception of Trident, it's true. We've both been here since day one.
Right.
So it has been fun.
Yeah. When
I'm going
when.
off track already, but
Uh-huh.
reel me back in. I came here, we started, we
Right.
went into the warehouse. Did you want me to go back to
I just
me?
wanted to, and you're currently over, over in the Riverview area, so you're not
Yeah,
far from where we're at.
yeah,
And it's definitely you were obviously at the beginning spending a lot of time at the warehouse itself, but now obviously
yeah,
with your new transition and everything else like that, you're not there as much, but you know, uh, that interview was something that I really just I needed somebody to come help into the office there. I was looking for more of an office manager at that point, right? Um,
yeah,
you didn't stay in that lane. You were So we kind of considered at that point that you were just a, an admin, but then when we moved over to the new warehouse is when you really started taking on the role of a warehouse manager. And tell us about how you felt like that integrated into developing the relationships with the contractors of being that
So,
office manager. Like you weren't just an office manager that was taking orders and putting them into the system there. Like you were
yeah.
developing relationships with contractors and helping them putting their orders. Like you were building the foundations with these contractors.
And the fact that we truly were building something from the ground up was special to me. I felt like I was really part of something big. We didn't know how big it was going to be, but I knew we were part of something that was going to grow. And I've always been like that. That's just kind of my work ethic. I don't just show up to just do my job 9 to 5, clock out, go home. I'm passionate about what I do. And I feel like it's important to enjoy what you're doing or you're not going to do it well.
Mhm.
But yeah, forming relationships with everybody, getting to meet everybody, that was the fun part for me. I mean, it really didn't feel like work. We were meeting people, we were making a name for ourselves. And again, we were just growing something from the ground up that I feel like we had the most control over it because we were the ones growing it. So it was exciting, and relationships are so important to me. They've always been, even when I was in construction, relationships with the homeowners, with new construction builds, and just getting to know people. You really can't service somebody unless you really understand who they are. So again, I
So,
never thought that I would ever move into the role that I'm in, but even before that was a thought to me, relationships were always important to me, no matter what my role was.
so how did you so you were, I know the answer to this. I'm baiting this up. It seems like I'm like, how did I know this? Right. Well, I know what the
How?
answers are.
How did
You,
this
you can't work
happen?
with someone for 7 years and not know everything about what's going on. But obviously, the people that are listening don't. Right. So,
Yeah.
how did you get from you were an admin for a roofing company, then you came in
Hmm.
as a assistant for a paver sealing company, and then you a warehouse manager. And obviously we haven't gotten to the point where you've become a sales manager yet, but you're getting ready to become a sales manager. How did you get to where you know so much? And I'm not doing this for a reason, but there is a reason. How did you get to knowing as much as you know about the paver sealing industry itself? And I know
I
one
see
of them
what you're
is I
doing,
listen to
Mike.
this guy blab on, and that's me talking and talking and talking. I know that, but there's more to this than just listening to
Yeah.
Mike talk.
But has a lot to do with it. So a couple things. I'm like a sponge. You know this about me. I have a memory like an elephant. So when I absorb information and I'm enjoying what I'm learning about, I, for whatever reason, remember things very well. So I was retaining and absorbing all the information, mostly from following you around. You're saying it in a joking way, but it's true. I kind of shadowed you. Um, for everybody that does not know, Mike is going to be humble when I say this, but Mike has been like my mentor. I really did follow him around, and I am beyond grateful for this opportunity to work with you because everything you knew became everything that I knew. You took me on job sites. We met with contractors. We weren't just confined to being in the warehouse. It was more of let's get out there. Let's see what paver sealing is. I want to show you. I remember you took me to a job almost immediately after we worked started moving into the warehouse. You wanted
Mm-hmm.
me to see things from start to finish, understand the process, understand the products, and that's really what pieced it together. And I think fast forward, that's really how we started to implement our training, our T3 university, because there's no better way for people to absorb information than to visually see the steps for themselves. It taught me. So, and I'm not even in the field every day. So if it could teach me, it can teach anybody. So that's really how it happened. And again, I can't stress enough, you have to like what you're doing and you have to like who you're doing it with. And I was very fortunate to have both of those things. So don't get
Well, it,
too, you know,
No, no. And I think a lot of, I mean, at the end of the day, you can spill out all the information that you want. And if two things don't happen, one, the person that's spilling the information doesn't feel appreciated and that the information is going to be received, they stop giving the information. Right.
yeah.
I mean, it's just human nature. If I keep giving and keep giving and keep giving and keep giving, the other person's like, whatever, right?
Resistant.
Eventually you're
Yeah.
going to be like, you know what? I keep giving you advice, but you choose not to do it, or you're not taking me advice. But every time that there's a problem, you keep coming to me. At some point, I'm going to stop giving you advice,
Yeah.
right? And let that
Nope.
sink
That it
in
was the
a little
opposite of
bit.
that. Yeah.
But that was the complete opposite of that, right? And then, on top of that, I saw that here's a person that if I could change one thing about my life that would drastically change my life is the ability to remember everything, right? Remember
I'm sorry that you have
not
not been
everything, but remember names,
blessed.
remember people, remember
Yeah.
events, remember stuff, dates and times and stuff like that. If I had that and my what I feel like is a decent sales ability, I don't think I'm a master salesperson. I think that I'm good and I feel confident going into a situation to be able to sell something, but I'm not a master at it. In certain
Sure,
aspects, I
my
feel like I'm
sure.
okay. But if I were to have that, it would be undeniable how great it was. I felt like I could teach the paver ceiling. I could teach, the education in the path, and you were going to absorb that. But so if we could put those two things together into somebody else,
Well, we
then
did.
let's
Me and
go.
you.
Right, right. So put it
Exactly.
together, right?
Like
So
dream team.
I think that, there was a time in which I came up to you and I said, Danielle, I'm just letting you know that, you know, a warehouse manager is not your future. And I
And what did I say?
remember yeah, get out of here, right? I don't want anything to do with
Yeah.
sales.
I
I
said,
don't,
this
you're crazy.
warehouse, this is
This is
my
what I want to do.
baby.
This is my warehouse. This is what I built,
Yeah.
right? And I said, no, your future is sales. And that's where
Yeah.
you're going to be. And ultimately it's you're going to be doing sales or you're going to be looking for a different place, right? Because you
But at the
need
time, I didn't know it. Yeah.
right,
At the time, I didn't know it.
you didn't know that that was there. So tell us about that transition, what that was
Um,
like what it was before making that transition, and then what it was like during the transition and where you are now.
so a lot of it happened organically and kind of naturally. But you're right. For a while, I didn't see myself there, and I was kind of not complacent. I don't ever want to consider myself complacent because I loved growing in my role, but I was complacent in my role where I never thought I would be out of that role. And sales was a little scary to me because it was like a whole different world, or at least I thought it was. Now I know it's not so scary, but at the time, it seemed overwhelming to me. And I was, again, we built that warehouse from the ground up. It was kind of my baby. I was a little territorial over it, but it was important to me. What we grew there was important. We did bring in more staff. I did have help. And honestly, the warehouse became stressful for me because we got super busy. And I mean, the volume tripled. I don't know. You would know better
Mm-hmm.
how much the volume picked up, but we were
Exploded.
super busy and it was harder for me to focus on that relationship building and all that because I really did start to become an order taker because the orders were just, especially when we brought Sherwin-Williams in as a distributor,
Mm-hmm.
um, everything kind of exploded. And I think I started to see what you meant in terms of, if you want to stay the course of relationship building, and being involved and being in the field, because I always wanted to go to trainings with you. I always wanted to be involved in that stuff. I started kind of realizing, okay, maybe there has to be a shift. I didn't know what the shift was. I didn't really even know at the time that the sales opportunity was open for me. And then I remember I was invited to the sales meeting, which was 3 years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago.
No, I think it was about 3 years ago, the one in
Yeah,
Chicago.
3 years ago.
And
So
I'm like,
going,
oh,
yeah, three
I was
years.
surprised. I knew I was like a strong admin assist. I definitely did. I definitely had more involvement than other admin in our company in terms of the sales world. But I didn't know that being invited to that meeting that year, there I would leave with an offer to become a sales rep. So that was exciting. It really was. I kind of had to reflect on everything and digest it, but I was excited. Again, it was kind of scary. It was a different world. And when I think of sales, people think of sales and they think, oh, salespeople. But now that I have truly grown in my role, that's nothing what sales is about to me. Sales is still about building relationships. So I'm enjoying
Yeah.
it. And that's kind of,
Our type of sales is completely different than the traditional model, right?
yeah. Well, when
And
people think sales as a whole, they think like car salesman.
I knew that
That's not
Danielle
what we
was
do.
ready to make that transition to become a salesperson when she told me she wanted to have just a couple of couple of people that she could make commission on, because she felt like I'm
Hey,
the one
hey,
that's
can I
doing
have a
all the
little
work
piece?
with them. Can I
Yeah,
have just a little piece of it, right?
yeah,
So she was showing interest, and this is important for this is important for salespeople, for managers, is to identify the the little pieces that employees at that point employees are
yeah,
showing you, that they're telling you they want to do something and it can excel into an area, but they're not telling you, right? Like
yeah.
it's almost coded. They don't even know it, right? I mean, when
That
you
was
put
the
the score
problem.
when you put the scorecard together and you say she's got a great memory, she creates good relationships, she does fight with people a little too much. We're gonna get into that. She does fight with people a little bit too
Mm,
much. She does, provoke some
kind of
people every once in a
passionate.
while, but she's very passionate about it. And but I would much rather have someone that passionate than someone that doesn't care. We can always reel back the passion a little bit, and a lot of that passion
Yeah,
comes
we've
into
dialed it down.
gets dialed down as you get older, right? and
Guys,
and,
I'm
and
turning 40 in a month. So
right,
I've
I'll be
I've
turning
learned to
50 in June, so we're just the time is going the
yeah,
wrong direction.
we're
um
grown-ups now.
right, we grown now, but I am going to be doing a podcast later on talking about the difference between having the right business and having it all. And as we're younger, we are very, very ambitious and we want it all. What do you mean he put his sign on my corner? This is my territory. Why are they putting their pressure washing thing on my area? Why are they advertising in my area? This is my area. Well, it used to be somebody else's territory before you came in.
Hmm.
There's a big difference as you start to get older. You start to realize that it's not about all the business, it's about the right business. And we're going to get into that here as we get, later on in this interview. And again, I'm not trying to drag this thing whole out, but I think it's important. But back to the point where Danielle was making that transition, I knew that this was going to be a success. Plus, we also were hiring more employees. And,
Yeah,
we had Martin that came in for a period of time. My boy Martin. We had Martin that came in. We had, some other people that came. We've got Brad. We've got,
Dad
Keith.
came in. Yeah,
Brad came in. We've got
yeah,
Keith. We've got Jason. We've got Marlo. We've got Tammy. We've got John. We've got a good team, and we're going to grow. There's going to be
yep.
more. that's going to be joining in. There's no way that we can't continue to keep growing. But
Yeah,
so you took on that position of sales, and obviously at the beginning of it you were kind of floundering around with that. Now let's reflect back. You've been doing this now, what, year and a half, 2 years, almost 2 years?
2 years,
Yeah,
two
two
years,
years.
this past year. Yep.
Right. 2 years been in the sales position. What do you wish that you would have done differently in those first 2 years,
Um,
thinking about it now?
Honestly, nothing, because I think the way that it happened and the way that I grew into this role without even meaning to,
Mhm.
I just kind of was doing what I do, being myself, enjoying it. I really don't think I would have changed much, because I think if I had my eye on that position, I don't know, maybe I would have approached it differently, but because it kind of happened so naturally, I appreciate the way that it happened, because I remember resisting with you for a while.
Mhm.
But what you said was true. I also was kind of like, hey, I just set up a distributor. Like, is there any way that maybe I can have like a couple of accounts? And you were like, no, you can maybe have it all. You can't have a piece of the pie, but you can have the whole pie. And then I was like, no, 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 I have to run this warehouse. And you were just kind of laughing, like, yeah, no, you're
This ain't gonna
moving into
last
a bigger
long.
role. So yeah, I appreciate the way that the transformation happened. I wouldn't have wanted it to happen differently because it was very organic. So
Well, I think that
yeah,
the whole, I'm always usually about 2 steps ahead. Not always.
I see that.
In business. In
Yeah.
business. Now, in my life, it's a wreck. I'm about 9 steps
Yeah.
behind. Right. I'm still
You
doing
gotta excel
laundry, God
somewhere.
knows what.
Yeah.
But you got to excel somewhere. Can't excel everywhere, but it's it is exciting. So,
You knew before I knew.
right. Uh,
So, but I
So
also appreciate that you saw that in me, because you
yeah,
helped me to see that in myself.
what
So
would
that
you,
was important for me to realize, hey, I can do this. So
what
what
advice
were
would
you
you
asking?
give contractors? What advice would you give contractors that you think would be the most beneficial to them after being in this position, going through the transition, knowing what you know about Trident, knowing about where we're going? And we're going to talk about where we're going next. But what
Okay.
advice would you give these contractors of saying, how to be successful? And then I'll give maybe my thoughts on that too.
For how contractors
Yeah,
should
like,
would be
right,
successful in their role.
in their role,
Um,
like how would they be, how could they, there's 1,000 different things of, oh, do more advertising and stuff like that, but I think I could narrow it down very, very simply. But I'm
so
curious what your thought
to
is.
me, yeah, to me, it's about consistency.
Hmm.
So, and I'm not going to say use Trident products, choose the right
Hmm.
products,
Hmm.
whatever products you use, whatever you're choosing, even whatever company that you use to service your equipment, be consistent and form relationships, and, have a sense of loyalty, not to just have loyalty, because people have always said, like, oh, Trident's like a cult. It's not. It's a culture. And when you're consistent and you stick with people that you know are on the same team as you and want to see you win, that's where I think the growth comes in. When you have consistent support and consistent products, in this instance, consistency with the products, nothing is going wrong. You're not running into issues. Why would you change it? And there are a lot of people that are like, oh, I would do things differently, or I would do it this way, or there are people that don't do anything. I'm not calling anybody out, but I see people run their business very inconsistently. I don't understand how that works. If that model works for them, fine, but consistency and having processes and systems developed, that's what's helped us. I mean, whenever we figure out what's not working with Trident, I will give Mike all of the credit where the credit is due. we will fix it and Mike will create a system and then we will, go from there. So systems are important and consistency. And maybe I'm going off
Mm-mm.
topic of where you were trying to go with that, but that's what
No, I
stands
think
out
it's
to me
very
the
valuable.
most.
Consistency, form relationships. It's just like what we talked about in the build and bond area. You have an area that you have a problem.
Yeah.
First thing you want to do is get education. Once you have education in the build and bond, we did a whole section of the win, grow strategies that were in there. And
Yep.
one of them was very is if we don't know something, then what do? You get educated, and those people that are listening that were at the event itself it'll resonate with them. Then after education comes execution, and then after execution comes consistency, and then after consistency comes the money, right? And then you repeat that cycle
Yep.
again and again and again and again. So we're always looking for those pieces that are there. I would say that forming relationships with your vendors and your customers has to be at the top of the list. That
Yep.
is the epitome. We want to separate our lives so much. Oh, what do you mean? I can't say that on my personal page. What do you mean I can't do this and I
Yeah.
can't do that? Right. Well, if you think for a moment that a customer or a contractor is not clicking on your link after they see what it is to look at your your family, where you're from, who you are, everything about you, and they're not reading those posts about what's supposed to be in your personal life, doesn't affect your business life, you're delusional. Plain and simple.
And
That's
by all
what people
means,
do.
be authentic. Yeah, because
Right.
people want to see a real life person. Be
I'm
authentic.
I'm not saying don't have your opinions, and everybody has their opinions and their thought. Just be careful that
Yeah.
it is not just for you anymore. And when we want to make big statements and we want to make big bold scenarios, it there's no good deed goes unpunished, right? So
Yep.
Um, so forming relationships is pretty much one of them. But if I could say the one thing, and this is where we're going to transition into the last topic, is 100 miles per hour straight forward with no seatbelt on. I must have said that 400
Okay.
times
Sounds
in
sounds
the
like
build and
the
bond.
Mike Kilgore way.
Right. In other words, distractions, distractions,
Yeah.
distractions, distractions. All of the people on different boards that are claiming that Trident is a cult, that the new sealer that just got made in someone's bathtub is better than Trident, that this is this and that is that, and I've been using this and I would never work with this, and I could go down the list for for 100 days of all the criticisms of why, and it's so expensive, right? But if it's so expensive, then why do we have so many people buying it and making such great returns on it, right? I mean, we're talking about some
Yeah.
of the OGs in the industry that are using this stuff, right? And using it for a long time, but yet, it's just so expensive. Well, instead of it being so expensive, just like whenever you're selling to your customer and the customer says, like, I had a guy yesterday that came out and told me that it was going to be, I had two drains. I've got three boys and a wife and a dog, right? They all got long hair and it was all clogged up. So I called a plumber to come out and unclog it. I tried a couple of different things and it wasn't all doing it, stuff like that. The guy comes out and says $350 per drain. $700
Damn.
for you to clear two drains? Are you kidding me? Like, are you serious? Like, that's insane. And you're going to be here for 15 minutes? Kind of sounds like a hot house wash, right? Or a roof wash. Maybe not 15 minutes, but right. Are you insane? Well, that was all I had was a price and an action, but I had
Hmm.
no education. And the guy educated me on it. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I separate myself. This is why it's $350. This is the things that you're going to get when I get done. Yeah, it's a little snack pack. And yeah, they had good pretzels in there. That was great, but I can't say it was worth $700, right? Oh, but why can't I get this for $99 like the guy said down there? Oh yeah. Well, the $99 means that he's going to take the plastic thing and he's going to dig it down and whatever he can get in the plastic thing and pulls out, that's what he's going to use. But if you want me to clean it from here to the street where it dumps in, I'm running the thing all the way down, clearing it out and cleaning it completely to make sure that there's absolutely nothing. Now they'll tell you for $99 this is what it is to get you out there, but then
Yep.
they're going to do it. So once I got educated and I understood it and I realized that Cat 5 makes 20 gallons instead of 10 gallons, and once I understood that the price is actually less than two of other products that are put together that make 10 gallons for each, once you add those two things together, all of a sudden the pricing doesn't seem too bad because they got educated. So
Yep.
my point being is that we did it differently. Have you ever seen in the years as an audience sealers that came out in 5 gallons and then 2 gallons? Never, never. It was always 4 and 1 in a cradle. And we
Yep.
did that because we want to see who is the right customer. So that transitions into where do we see our future going with Trident? So what do you see there?
So I think what I've learned being in a sales role is the beauty of sales is that we have decisions, like we have options. And just like contractors that get to a point where they realize not every customer is their customer, not every contractor is our contractor, and that's okay. I am not super salesy, so I am not out there giving out free sealer, trying to get every single paver sealing contractor under the sun to work with Trident. Um, I want people to want to work with us, to understand what it is that we do, come to our trainings, see our process, understand our culture, understand that this is important to us. It means something to us. When people say, oh, you have such an online presence, like I see you all over the boards. I'm not getting paid to do that. I'm getting paid to make sales, not help people. I mean, I help people even people that don't use our products. I'm passionate about helping. And with that comes the relationships that we build, and then we attract the right kind of customers. So it's nice to know that we can decide, this is not really someone that I want to work with. Someone that's like, oh, well, I can get this cheaper, or where can I get a discount? Or do I have to mix it like that? Can I add more water? The answer is no to all of those things. And if you want to do
We're not
that,
gonna give you false information just to make a sale.
yeah,
We would much rather
yep,
lose the information on true information that can be followed up by the information on the TDS, SDS, and on the label itself. That's
yep.
why we follow the rules, and that's why we have, you know, not that we don't have problems. We don't, I can't say we don't have any problems, but for the most part,
I mean, we
and
hardly have problems.
really, the ones that we
That's
have
that's
the problem
also
with
what
are the
makes,
ones that didn't educate themselves, that didn't help, that didn't
yep.
take advantage of the resources that were available.
And I tell people this all the time. Because some people complain about our trainings. Oh, you're saturating the market. That's gotten old to me
Jesus.
because we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't. It's a double-edged sword. If we were out there just giving away all of our sealer and not teaching anybody how to seal, we would be wrong for doing that. But what I tell everyone is the sale is the last thing that I'm looking for from you. I want to educate you. I want to learn about who you are, how you run your business, what your goals are, what's important to you. And I want to see how invested you are in learning the process and doing it the right way. And then at the end of that entire process, if I gain you as a customer and you buy our products, that's the icing on the cake to me. At least that's how I look at it, because
Hmm.
without education, you're basically handing product off to somebody that I don't know how else to say it, they're going to screw it up. So I would much rather that person want the education and want the support and invest in all the tools that we offer, because there we have a plethora of tools available, and then become our customer because they followed through that process. And people love our processes. So that's also been the fun part of really diving into this role, is the feedback that we get for what we do, how much time is invested, um, and the end result for the people that follow through that process. They really love it. They implement it every day, and they're thankful for it because it's helped them to grow their business. I can't tell you how many times I've had contractors that I've been working with year after year, that I have one in particular down in Sarasota that he was able to buy a new truck for his business last year and added another employee. And even though I'm like, oh, stop it, said, I would not have been able to do this without you being in my corner. And I get like embarrassed, like, oh, don't say that. But at the end of the day, it makes me
Don't say
feel
it
really good
anymore.
because
Write it
I,
down. Don't say it anymore.
yeah,
Write it down, please. It would look really good
yeah.
on a
Can you
plaque.
can you put it on a big
Right.
banner and show everybody? No, but
I
it's
mean,
a
I ain't
good
trying to say
feeling to know
anything. I ain't trying to say anything, but I mean, I'm just trying to say something,
I
you
don't have mine.
know. My wife won't let me
All
put it
mine are
up
in the living
anywhere.
room.
She won't let me put my award up anywhere. She's like,
Well,
put that
that's the
on your
exciting
desk.
part to me. Um, yeah,
And
get
and
that
we
get that out of
have
here. It's
I
collecting
do
dust.
want to recognize too is that we have um two very important people that we work with that you never really hear much about, and that's our owner and our vice president, because they support us. Trust me, there's
Yes.
times where they're questioning me, going, did we make the right decision with this cat? Right. Like, but I warned
Yeah.
them at the beginning when they offered the job to him. I said, I will make a good partner. I'm going to make a horrible employee. And I kept up
I'm a
with my
little
deal.
chaotic. I just want to
Right. I'm a
warn
little
you.
chaotic. There's going to be a little bit of wildness that's going to happen. But,
Hmm.
we are in a position now as Trident, starting in 2026, that we had a record, and I mean record breaking, I mean by almost 50% record breaking January. Shocked the
Yep.
hell out of me. That didn't make sense to me. But, with all the distractions and hurdles looking back at 2025, I mean, I felt like I was running a one-legged race over hurdles the whole time in 2025. If it wasn't some
A couple growing
cleaners, if it
pains.
was
Yeah.
something, it was growing pains. And, we had, some relationships that stood the test of time, and we had some relationships that decided to go different directions, and that's fine. And who knows where those relationships end up into the future. But what I can say is that as a whole in the industry, I feel that just looking at how January turned out, which shocked me. January is typically the worst month. If January is the worst month, January, and then especially down here in Florida, August and September is usually pretty bad. Good up
Hmm.
north, and then it flip flops up at the top. But when we look at that, 2026 seems to be the year that the people are starting to say, you know what? Kind of tired of chasing the shiny new thing out there. I'm tired of not having somebody that I can call to that's going to be honest and straight with me. I'm tired of chasing around with that. And there's some people that have great relationships with other products, and by all means, stay. I'm not going to force
Yeah.
you away from it, right? Not even going to talk about our product. Doesn't mean I still don't want to be there to help whenever or still have a relationship with you, right? But, you know, we're really starting to see that consistency. And again, we're not going to do it all right. We're going to mess it up. We're human. There's going to be a couple of times that we're
Yep.
going to build things incorrectly. But at the end of the day, I can't think of one time that we've done something wrong, that something was not done, that when it was caught and it was corrected, it's gotten corrected. And then it doesn't happen overnight, but now we have processes to help alleviate that again. We're not just sweeping it
Again, it's
underneath
all
the rug.
growing pains. Yeah.
So,
We're just growing a business like everybody else is,
right.
just like our contractors.
So
But it's
to
been
the point
exciting. So,
to the point is if I could give a piece of advice for myself 5 years ago, 6 years, 7 years ago, over that period of time, was don't get caught up in the drama because I had a tendency of doing that, right? Don't get caught up in the anxiety of what you think is going to happen and put so much
mhm.
emphasis on cause and result. I mean, I can't tell you how many times someone said, "What do you mean we don't have this?" or something's like that. Oh my gosh, the world's going to be on fire. And guess what? A month later, I walked outside and the birds were still singing. There was rainbows with skeeters
Everything
coming
was
out of it.
fine.
Everything was fine. Very rare is the world going to catch on fire. But yet I'd spent a lot of energy trying to protect everything instead of
Hmm.
keeping focused and keeping driven. And I think that this year and last year, if I were to evaluate my thoughts on Danielle, is that she's has moved into that. I'm going in this direction and I want to work with those people that value me and therefore I'm going to value them.
Yeah.
Is that
Well,
fair?
it's always been that way for me, but I have definitely learned not to get so emotionally involved in certain things. And let's be honest, I am probably one of the only, at least a name that people know in this industry. I'm like the only female really in the Florida market.
Well,
Um,
in the paver
or
sealing
overall, I mean,
manufacturing world, but as far as yeah, there's pressure washers. Don't get me wrong. There's
yeah, yeah, no, no, no.
suppliers.
In
You got
our world,
Trudy,
yes,
but in
yes.
our world, as far as
And
manufacturers of sealers and stuff, you're absolutely correct.
and it's a lot
And
on me sometimes because I am a female and I am human. And females are emotional. And I made a couple of mistakes along the way, getting a little too emotionally involved in situations, and I regret it. Um, I didn't practice the pause. You have to practice the pause before you react. You don't want to have a bad reaction to something in the moment when emotions are high. So I have some regrets there. Um, but what I don't regret is the fact that I always mean well and I want the best for people and I will stand by that. And maybe sometimes I don't align with people and that's fine. It's rare. I get along with most people, but I've definitely learned to just back away from situations and not give my energy to things that are not going to be productive. Like like I said before, there's practice in the pause. You have to kind of stop yourself and be like, is this worth going down this road? Probably not. So that's a huge growth thing for me from last year to this year is just learning it's not worth your energy. And it's upsetting sometimes when, certain relationships kind of go left but it's part of life. Again, I will keep stressing it. I'm a female. I'm sorry. I have feelings. I'm a little emotional. And to be honest with you, a lot of you guys are too. You just don't admit it. But
we are.
I
We're
really
emotional.
care.
We're emotional
Some,
creatures. We run by emotion. We run by fear. We run by all of
yeah,
it. But that's the passion of life. What I
yeah,
want to try to wrap this up for everybody so that they're not listening to us just go on and on and on and on. But I do want
yeah.
to say that there is no doubt about it. we've all grown in this industry. Contractors, where they were, where they are, and where they're going. There's going to be new contractors that come in. They're starting at different stages of their lives. They're starting in with the world of AI, where we didn't have AI, we had a phone, right? We had to knock on doors, right? But that doesn't
Yeah,
mean that they're any less valuable and they don't need the education. We were tasked at the beginning to elevate the industry. And we're going to continue to keep doing that with training, education, support. We're going to do that. We're not going to stop. And people can say all day long that we're saturating the market. We're not saturating the market. We're growing the market. We're growing it responsibly. I can teach it all day long. Danielle can teach it all day long. But at the end of the day, if they don't take that advice and don't move on with it and grow with it, I can't stop that. But what I am looking for is those people that want to succeed. And we're going to invest whatever we can to make them successful. Danielle's got a huge, bright future with Trident. So excited that she's on our team, that we're going through this path together. Um, Again, it's not all sugar over here. Sometimes it's, you got to be kidding me,
no.
right? But we have the respect for each other to know that we can fight and still be all right the next day. Usually it's about 3 days. It takes about 2 to 3 days.
And we no, we haven't fought in a long time.
It's been a
Or
minute.
disagreed, I should say. But what I love sometimes most about this job is that we're having fun. We're like
Mm-hmm.
building something and we're having fun while doing it. Doesn't always feel like work. Yes, we get serious and there's a lot of serious tasks and we dive in, but we're making it fun, and I hope it's fun to the
Mm-hmm.
contractors and it's just, we 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 all have personalities, we're people at the end of the day, so we just want to kind of go on the ride with everybody and help each other build our businesses and have growth. So I don't know about you. I have fun. Are you
I
having
do.
fun, Mike?
I am. There's times where it's not fun, but
Yeah.
that's just like that's like a roller coaster, right? Sometimes you're going
when
straight down
when
and it's
when Mike
scary.
feels like he's not having fun, he breaks away from the computer and he goes and does tailgates and cooks some burgers. And then
I
he's back
do.
on track. Then he's
And then
having
I'm back
fun.
on track and I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm back on track. I've got to, sometimes I go out and go do a little fishing. I do a little bit of whatever just to get away. But when I have some fun
Yeah.
with it, and I'll tell you, we're getting ready to go a whole nother level of fun. We're getting ready to go into this Nautilus system. That's a
Yep.
that's a whole nother full system, all the way from the vapor barrier to the crack repair to the grinding to everything. And I've got, shit, where is it at? I just printed it off. I think it's on the
He's
back
got
of this sheet
something.
because I have a meeting about it. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 trainings within the next couple of months. And I'm having a meeting about it to solidify that in 1 hour with our upper management to make sure that everything's solidified. And I'm hoping to be able to announce that soon.
Yeah.
Again, the cool thing about the Nautilus system is that we didn't put any budget on this. And a lot of people are going, well, what do you mean? No, we didn't put any budget on it. Like, we didn't put any goals on it. And the reason is because we want to grow it using the things we learned from Trident and do the things correctly towards the Nautilus system, the polyaspartic
Yeah.
flake system, right? And of course, I know we're all excited about it, right? Oh my gosh, when's it going to be here? I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. You're right. Um, we're not going to do it quick. We're not going to do it fast. We're going to do it right. Y'all know the little
Slow
slider
and
thing,
steady.
quick, slow and steady. So be patient with us. We've got some other cool things that are getting ready to come out too. Um, but anything else you want to add?
No, I'm excited, like you said, for this year. And I just enjoy being in this role. I am always forever grateful for this opportunity. I will never be complacent because I know that there is so much growth opportunity and I am so thankful for it. And again, I just enjoy it. And I stress on that because I'm going to be 40 next month. I know a lot of people that hate their job. And I kind of look at them and I'm like, well, why are you working there then? Like I can't comprehend that. And then maybe it makes me feel like maybe I'm one of the lucky people. But I really enjoy what I do and I enjoy working with everybody. I have formed some really, really great relationships with people, again, watching their businesses grow. Um, and there's nothing better than that. So I'm looking forward to another year, a bigger, better year. We want to keep,
Mm-hmm. Keep growing.
growing bigger and better every year. And, we're never going to change. We're never going to change our processes. We're just going to keep building them and, growing that
Mhm.
process. So I'm excited.
Learning
I'm
from the
excited for
mistakes along the
Nautilus.
way, and we're going to make them. We're going to
Yeah,
make some mistakes along the
yeah,
way.
for
Yep, just
sure.
part of it. But we're also going to do is we're going to, you know, find out where those mistakes are, fix them, and move on. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, that's our time with Danielle. Just a little bit over an hour. I think Keith, we did like an hour and a half, but we got off real bad. So hope
Yeah.
everybody got a chance to kind of learn a little bit more about Danielle. I'm going to be posting this up into the Florida group, into the contractors only group. I'm going to also have it on to YouTube and then take the audio version of it and put it up into the podcast. So that's the Trident Edge podcast. So we'll have it all over the place. Hit that like button, right?
Oh,
If you've
I'll be
made it
everywhere.
all the way, if you've made it all the way to the end of an hour and 15 minutes listening to us two blab
Thank
on,
you.
at
Yeah.
least you could do is just hit that like button. And if you're into the YouTube thing, hit the subscribe button so that you can see other ones. I am going to do other interviews with the other sales reps too. But I definitely wanted to spend some time with Danielle so you guys could get to know her. 2026 is definitely shaping up to be something amazing. Yes,
I'm ready for it.
there are things that you can control and there's things that you can't. You can't control the politics, you can't control the temperatures, you can't control the weather, you can't control microeconomics, but what you can control is your attitude and your focus. And what you can control is going out and spending as much time selling because if you don't sell it, you can't do it. It's that easy. So,
Yep.
all right, everybody, we're going to sign off. All
Thank you,
right.
everyone.
See ya.